Hi, I'm Bob Trask, and this is our weekly reset. Thank you for being with me. I've given thousands of talks around the world over the last 50 years, and I've talked about everything: wealth, health, relationships, you name it. We've covered all the subjects, and we've done intensive seminars, 5-day seminars, 10-day seminars, wilderness seminars. And there's been all these powerful, really important subjects that have come up and been pertinent to those seminars. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I think encompasses all of that and is maybe the most valuable of all. And because it's so obvious, I think it just slides right by us. Our today was once our future, and we created it. And how did we do that? Today is the day you and I get to create a new present. And you can see that as a present or as the present. And we can create the present that we really want. That's right. Today we decide our futures. Today, right now. So let's take a magical trip into creating the future that we want, the future of our dreams. The best way to predict the future, Alan Kay said, is to invent it. So let's get busy. Let's invent it. The Future by John Shar is not a result of choices among alternative paths offered by the present. So let's look at that for just a minute. And I'll go on with John's quote, but let me just look at that for a minute. It's not a result of choices among alternative paths offered by the present. In other words, when we look at the future, when we look from the present, we look through the filters of the present. This is what's going on. This is people in my relationships. These are my finances. This is my health. This is my age. This is my living conditions. These are my. So we look at all of that, and those are the filters through which we see which we want to create. But John Shar is saying the future is not a result of alternative paths offered by the present. Those aren't the choices we have. He says it's a place that is created. Created first in the mind and the will. Created next in activity. So we get the mind focused, the imagination focused on this is the reality that I want to create. And we look at that and we see that and we bring it into its fullness in our minds, in our imagination. And then we act on it. John Shar says the future is not someplace we're going to. Please hear that. Boy, I'm telling you, I hear that. It's not a place we're going to. It's one that we're creating. And I want to add to John's words and say, well, we're creating right now. Right now. As you're listening to this talk, right now, you are in fact creating your future. The present, where you are right now, where I am right now, this was at one time, this was the future, and we created it. We brought it into being. So let me paint this picture. The future and the past and the present are all in existence right now, right now, right now. Now, I'm going to go a little bit far afield, and you may disagree with this, but just check it out and see if it's your belief system that's disagreeing and not your common sense. But I'm going to say that the past and the future and the present are really all the same thing. Hello. They're all the same thing because there's no such thing as distance. Distance is here. There's no such thing as space. Space is now. Time is now. Everything that has ever existed or ever will exist is existing right now. Now, we might say, well, gee, then I give up, and because it's all preordained. I mean, this is the way it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. No, because here's the beautiful part of that is that the reality is like a big lump of soft clay that's plopped down in front of you. A big lump, soft clay plopped right down in front of you, and it's up to you to do with it whatever you want. That's reality. And if you form that reality out of the disappointments and the fears and the heartbreaks and the failures and the screw ups that you had in the past, if you bring all those forwards and those are a part of your present mind, then those go into the formation of that clay. And if we look forward into what we think of as the future and we say, I want to create something really beautiful, how much of that past is involved in the creation of the future? Am I creating a future that's relative to or in reaction to the past? I hated this and I didn't like that and that was awful and I really hurt when that happened. Therefore, I'm going to create a future that doesn't have those things. Then I'm creating a reactive future. And John Shar says the future is not a result of choices among alternative paths offered by the present. It's a place that's created first in the mind, created next in activity. The future is not a place we're going to, but one we are creating right now. And the clay stands before me, right there it is. It's right there in front of me. And incidentally, it's pure white, this chunk of clay in front of me. It's pure white. I don't know if you can buy white clay, but we're doing it now. So this is pure white, this chunk of clay, because it's up to me to put color, whatever color I want in it. And I can reach over into the past and drag that ugliness back because it's still on my mind. It never quite goes away. And that goes in and colors my clay. This is going to be my future. The present that I'm experiencing right now at one time was my future. And how did I create this? I created it in one of two ways. I either deliberately created it or I looked the other way and let it be created by my subconscious mind, by all of my beliefs and opinions and memories. Let's get in charge. And for the human brain, it's really hard to grasp the reality of everything being right here, right now, because the way that brain is created, it's calibrated to see things chronologically. In other words, the brain doesn't see all time as one, doesn't see all space at one. It sees time and space as segments in minutes and distance and miles and kilometers. And that, why is that so? Because the way this individual universe is set up, this individual universe that you and I are living in, which we are in fact creating, that the universe that we're living in right now is set up in such a way that we have chronological order in things because we're here to experience and then express those experiences and thereby grow in wisdom and joy. And as we experience periodically. Can't experience all in one big gob. We experience periodically. But in fact, everything that has ever been or ever will be is right now, and all the future is here. And I don't want you to think, as some people might, that in fact that means that everything's preordained. Therefore, why bother? I'll just give up because everything's preordained. No, it's not preordained. I'm in the creative fact right now. I'm in the creative act right now. And there is and when I look at the future and I look at the past and I look at all of that, and there may be a part of me that says, boy, check this out. There may be a part of me that says, I deserve to have a certain amount of negativity in my life. I deserve to be a little bit insulted. I deserve to hurt a certain amount. I deserve to have a certain amount of shame or a certain amount of guilt. Well, that white clay gets colored by that. Doesn't belong there. Doesn't belong there. That shame and guilt doesn't belong in this present, in this clay. That's the past. That's a different reality. This is a new reality. I'm not creating from there. I'm creating from here. And there is no heaven and there is no hell and there is no afterlife. But wait, does that mean that we die and cease to exist if there's no afterlife? No, it means the opposite. It means we've always existed and will always exist, and that we're living in the afterlife right now, the afterlife of before. And there will always be an afterlife going on, but it isn't like something that happens as a result of what we're doing right now. It is what we're doing right now. And there are multiple incarnations of me, of you, of you. And we can look at past life experiences and say, well, in this past life I was this, and in that past life I was something else. Those past lives are all going on right now in multiple universes, in multiple dimensions. They're all going in right now. And then can I jump into one of those others? Can I jump over into another life? No, because each life has its own parameters, doesn't it? Isn't that true? If I'm Bob here and Frank here and Joe here and Joanne here and Marianne here, I'm all of these different incarnations in all of these different places, and all of them are experiencing, all of them are expressing, and all of them are looking for more light, more joy, because that's the creative force of the universe, the joy. And I'm looking for more joy, more light, and I'm bringing it into then all of the incarnations all together are being uplifted. But we can't go jumping into any one of those because we don't belong there. They don't want us butting in. So in spite of our differences, we're all one on an endless sea of time and space, all being held and nurtured by the great presence of life, of great presence of nature, this ocean, this great presence that is all. It's all there ever was and all there ever will be. This great presence, this great ocean of being is in fact who and what we are. So I'm not a result of my schooling. I'm not a result of my upbringing. I'm not the result of something that happened to me. I ask you today to just stop being what happened to you. Stop it. Stop it. You are not what happened to you. You are fresh and clean and new. You are pure white clay being ready to be formed. Carl Jung said, I'm not what happened to me. I'm what I choose to become. And yet we've been taught by our religious leaders and society that we're very fragile and living in a fragile temporary life. Baloney. That's baloney. We're not fragile. We're tough as an old boot. And every time something happens to us that's terrible, that knocks us off our pins, we get right back up. And we take that lesson with us, and it makes us stronger. It makes us more of who we came here to be. But some of these things that can happen to us are really terrible. Boy, oh boy, I mean, they just seem unbelievably awful. And yet, they're only experiences. And they came to us so that we could grow through them and become more. So do you think right now about the worst thing that ever happened to you? The worst thing that ever happened to you. And say to yourself, that's not who I am. That was an experience, but it's not who I am. Our only spiritual identities were given to us by our religions. And not knowing who we are and being frightened of that lack of knowledge, not knowing who we are and being frightened by that lack of knowledge of who we are, then we don our costumes, don't we? We don our makeup and we get our make-believe self going on. And we have all kinds of little ways of deflecting reality and deflecting truth and deflecting things that are emotionally sensitive to us. We just deflect them. And we have this little identity. This is who I'm pretending to be. What if we stopped pretending? Who would we be? And those little costumes and that little game that we play, we think that we need to, to do that in order to get along, in order to be more. So if I'm rich, I'm more. If I'm physically attractive, I'm more. If I have a lot of friends, I'm more. This moreness is a frustrating state of mind because no matter how much I do or how much I own, I'm still never enough, never enough. And wait a minute before you say that, before you go into your mind and saying that being never enough is a bad thing, I'm saying being never enough is a good thing. We need to dare to never be enough. We need to dare that, to not be enough, because then we are becoming. And that's what we're here to do, is become. And it's okay to not be there yet, because we're not there yet. We're climbing this incredible mountain of consciousness. Oh man, it's a hell of a mountain. And there's no top. There's no top. And when we started off, it was like this. It was a bit of a climb for us. And as the more we keep climbing, it gets steeper and steeper and steeper until it's practically vertical. Oh my gosh. Then you say, well, I think I'll just stop. Okay, good. The minute I stop, then my past, all my hurts and my problems and my disappointments all come flooding back into me. And then that's who I am. But if I keep moving, if I keep climbing, then I become. Ian Lowe said, every day we do things that make some futures more probable and others less likely. Every day we do things that make some futures more probable. What am I doing today? What are you doing today that are making my future more probable? What future do I want? What future do you want? And what are you doing right now that makes that more probable? How are you working with your brain, your mind, that'll make that future more probable and make others that you don't really want less likely? When we're becoming instead of doing or having, we're one with this great sea of divine presence that holds us in its embrace. We're one for all and all eternity. And only from that stance can we create the futures that we want. If 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 in fact my life is, as Shakespeare said, I'm an actor on a stage, then dare I put the script down and take off this costume and be naked in the world. And be naked in the world and just say, I don't know who I am, but at least I'm going to present myself as being ready for whatever's next. And then I have joy in my life. Because, see, that's the nature of reality, is that you and I are created from and with and by joy. Joy. And if we're naked, when we're naked in the world, when we say, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm creating a future right now by creating this reality that we call the present, that is my present. And I'm creating it. I'm taking this lump of clay and I'm molding it with great joy, I'm molding it into something that I love, that's beautiful. I'm creating my future. So the future is preordained, yes. The future already exists. It already exists, but it's not fixed. It's not fixed. We're fixing it now. It's the miracle of the time-space continuum. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. He's saying to be yourself is the greatest accomplishment. So how we form the futures not by focusing on or doing or having or all of that, but by it's formed by becoming. Let me and let you today say, I am not, I am becoming. I am becoming. Right now, I'm on the road. I used to be a long distance runner. And when I would run sometimes through on long paths and trails through the mountains, I could say, I'm trying to get to this end place. I'm trying to get to this end place. Or what I could say is, I'm here. I'm here. I was running one time. Oh God, I never will forget this. I was running one time and I'd run this path before and I ran by this big rhododendron bush. And as I ran by it, it was loaded with roses. And I kept running and I went about another 100 feet and I thought, roses on a rhododendron? So I walked back and looked at that. And yes, sure enough, somebody had taken a bunch of roses and stuck them all over in this rhododendron bush. Now, that person, whoever it is probably gone beyond this reality now. And if I even saw them, they probably wouldn't even remember that. But it changed my life because I was running. I was always running. I was never being. And as I stood there, holding one of those roses, I looked up the path where I had been running toward, and there was a little bunny rabbit that had hopped out on the path. And I just stood there and looked at him and held that rose. And I said to myself, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I just poured my love in. That little guy hopped right up to my feet. He hopped forward right up to my feet. And we just looked at each other. And then he hopped off into the bushes. And it changed my life. What I got is that in my run, it wasn't I was trying to get somewhere. It was that I was somewhere. Let this be the becoming. Let each step of this run be a step of now. Let this be the clay I'm forming. It's not somewhere out in it's somewhere. It's how our identities were formed by our experiences. When I was a boy, all the men in my family, my stepfather and my uncles were all fist fighters. We're all real tough guys. Cross them, bump into them, man, we go to fists right away. And I was taught that other boys were my rivals. They were my opponents. And I was taught to, if they get in your way, if they insult you, you fight them. Those experiences of fighting became my self-identity. That's who I thought I was. And it's the same for all of us. Unless we stay alert, our experiences will tell us who we are. Those experiences bring memories and opinions and beliefs and that run our lives. They make it impossible to create a future that's not in agreement with our past experiences, don't they? With our with our past self-identities. So then life becomes a stage play. We believe in it. We believe it. It's not the truth. It's a game. Because so today, let's let go of our identities. Let's take off the costume. Let's get naked. Let's not be in all of that false stuff. Let's be. We're not motion objects. We're not statues in a park. We're becoming. We're always becoming. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. And Rita Mae Brown said, the reward for conformity is that everybody likes you except yourself. So if we have to let go of those old identities. The past and the present and the future are all changeable. They're changeable by me changing myself from being stuck in those identities. I was the victim of this, and this happened, and I felt this way. Those are experiences. They were powerful experiences, and they were important to the building of who I was, but they're not who I am. They're not who I am. Let them go. We're not stuck in one identity, not stuck in one way of thinking. Regardless of evidence to the contrary, anything is possible. Anything you can dream of, you can create. You just decide which old identity you're willing to give up in order to have it. That's the way it works, isn't it? If I want to have this reality in my future, what identity in my past do I have to give up? And am I willing to do that? And it's not hard to give up an old identity. You just go back and change the meaning. Here's what that meant to me. When that happened, this is what it meant to me. No, well, just change the meaning. Just change the meaning. It's up to you. It's your life. Change the meaning. It meant something different than I decided in my naivete to experience it in one way. That I don't have to experience it in that way right now. I can go back and change that. Today, let's recognize that the past, the present, and the future can all be changed by changing our minds about who we are, by changing our minds about what past experiences meant to us. We allow those experiences to become who we are. And now, knowing this, there's no limit to who you can be if you can just let them go. And there were some of those past experiences that really were empowering. Hang on to those. But expand them. We're not in the first grade anymore. We know how to add and subtract. Let's go to the second grade. Let's move on. There's no limit to who you can be. No limit. If this message has been good for you, pass it on. Pass it on to other people. Get other people to come and listen to this. It's on YouTube. It's available. Go to Bob Trask Weekly Resets on YouTube, and all of my talks are there. And I want to finish today's talk with a quote from one of my heroes, Dr. Seuss. He said, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." Thank you. Thanks for being with me. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your company. Let me know how you're doing. Notify me. Let me know how your life's going. Thank you.